Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Made in Heaven series, book number 1 by Elena Kincaid. And this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Madeline Sutton didn't recall actually seeing the two boys in Disney World when she was 9 years old, but after spending an amazingly fun and exhausting day touring the kingdom with her parents, she dreamt them. Charlie and Cole stood waiting for her at the entrance. Charlie was blonde with a mischievous twinkle in his blue eyes. His slightly pudgy frame, a last remnant of his baby fat, no doubt, only made him more adorable. Cole, on the other hand, was all lanky and wobbly-kneed. He reminded her of Mowgli from the Jungle Book with his wild dark hair and deep chocolate eyes. They quickly made their introductions. Cole was 12 and Charlie 11. And even though they all just met, both boys already felt possessive over their young charge. They each held out a hand for her to take, and together strolled into the Magic Kingdom. There was an air of peace and quiet when they entered. Maddie giggled. "There's no one else here." Cole smiled indulgently at her musical sound while Charlie pinched her cheek. Impatiently, she tugged on their hands to keep moving. As if they were of one mind, the three of them boarded the train headed for the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It turned out to be a favorite for all three. The train moved forward and the music played despite there being no operator. The three of them sat in companionable silence while they quietly hummed along to the song and enjoyed the scenery the train passed by. I still can't believe we have the whole park to ourselves," Maddie said wistfully. "What a wonderful dream." "I know," said Cole. "I spent hours today just waiting in line." Charlie chimed in with an uh-huh. After exiting the train, they ran to make themselves over into pirates. Once the outfits were complete with eye patches, pirate makeup, and plastic swords, they headed for the ride. Once again, there was no one to operate the ride, but the pirate ship still sailed and plunged. Mechanical pirates moved and sang, "Yo ho ho!" All three raised their hands and screamed as the ship plunged into the water, splashing them. "Yo ho ho, a pirate's life for me," they sang loudly in unison. They didn't bother getting off after the ride came to an end. Instead, they barely paused to restart. They sailed and plunged again and again before moving on to the next ride. The boys indulged Maddie by making themselves over from pirates to princes, Prince Charming's to her Snow White. They ran, skipped, and rode the train from ride to ride, store to stand, eating and drinking their fill of sweets and sodas. It seemed as if hours had passed, and yet they never tired and their stomachs never soured from all the food they ate. They never even had to use the bathroom. It was while spinning on the teacups that Maddie noticed a change. The ride came to a halt and everything started to blur and fuse together in a swirl of brilliant colors until only the teacup they sat in was clear. Charlie and Cole both wore the same look of confusion, clearly seeing what Maddie was. "What's happening?" Maddie asked, alarmed. "Time to wake up, honey." It was Evelyn Sutton's voice that broke through Maddie's dream. Evelyn kissed her daughter's forehead and then shooed her into the bathroom to shower and change. Inside the bathroom, Maddie let out a strangled sob. Thankfully, she was already under the shower, drowning out the sound when it escaped. The dream felt so real to her, more so than any dream she had ever had. The experience felt almost as real as actually being at the park with her parents the day before, though she had to admit that the dream had been way more fun. And it wasn't just because the park was empty and catered to her every whim. It was her two dream companions, or rather the current lack of them, that had her sobbing as she held her head under the spray of water. She just wanted to crawl back into her hotel room bed and dream of them some more. Maddie had plenty of friends at school. She was outgoing and funny and easy to get along with, but for some reason, she never felt close enough to anyone to consider them a best friend. She seemed to always lack that special connection, no matter how much she liked a person. Charlie and Cole had changed all that. She felt them in her very soul the instant she saw them. She cried harder when that realization hit her. "I wish they were real," she whispered to no one. Months had passed before she saw her dream boys again. She had been going to bed each night hoping and praying that they would once again show up in her dreams, and every morning she would awake crying at her disappointment. Maddie could not help the depression that settled over her. She felt as if something precious had been stolen from her. Her constant moping did not go unnoticed by her parents, and neither did her declining grades. At one point, they had even suggested counseling. It wasn't until Maddie saw Charlie and Cole again that her depression faded, and with it, the concerns of her parents. For months, Maddie had been worried that Charlie and Cole were lost to her forever. When she finally saw them again in her dream, standing by the swings in an unfamiliar park, she cried out and ran to them. She didn't care if she made them up. She would take them any way she could, even if it were only in her dreams. She looked them both over, drinking them in and better committing them to memory so that when she awoke, she would be able to draw them. She vowed to herself right then and there to perfect her technique enough to one day capture them just right. Charlie and Cole appeared to be equally overjoyed to see her and each other for that matter. All three of them expressed how hard they tried to see each other again and how much it had taken a toll on them when they weren't able to. Maddie felt an unbreakable bond form between them. "Where are we?" Maddie finally asked after she managed to pull apart from their embrace. "Oh, we are at a park my dad used to take me to a few years ago," Cole replied. Maddie could hear the sadness in his voice. "It's in Silverdale, Washington. It's where I'm from." "Oh, Cole, what's wrong?" Maddie slipped an arm around his waist, urging him to continue. He died a few years ago from a heart attack. I still miss him every day, but I have my mom, and now I have you guys. I was actually thinking about this place when I went to sleep, and then I found myself standing here in front of the swings. Then Charlie appeared, followed by our Maddie." He added the last line with a smile, a wink, and a pat on the head for Maddie. Before long, they had her squealing with glee as they took turns pushing her on the swings. The boys then took to performing death-defying stunts on the swings and the bar on top. Maddie giggled when Cole was upside down hanging from the bar. She half expected Baloo to come along and do a song and dance with him. They laughed and played in the park until the scenery swirled around them, signifying the end of their dream. They stood in a circle, smiling at one another and holding hands until the dream had faded. Maddie didn't dream about them every night, sometimes days, weeks, and even months, though that was rare, passed by in between, but she no longer worried that she would never see them again. As the years went by, her diaries and sketchbooks became filled with adventures she experienced with them. Every time they saw each other, it was a different location. Sometimes they were places that one of them had actually been to, while others were just fusions of their collective imagination. Progressively, they discovered more and more details about each other. For instance, Charlie lived in Florida, but would soon be moving to San Francisco with his parents. Maddie let them know she was from upstate New York. Cole had 3 dogs and couldn't wait to one day become a veterinarian. And all 3 of them were only children. They were real enough to her.